Welcome to part two of basically an introduction to the holistic, spiritual, magical, occult communities. Now we're going to look at types. First, we're going to look very general. Most people do not distinguish between holistic, metaphysical, spiritual, and magical. It's all in one big mishmash, when actually they do their own defining. Somebody who is holistic tends to see things as a form of energy, and they tend to be healers, such as chiropractors, massage therapists, Reiki practitioners, traditional Chinese medical practitioners. Not all of them want to be known as spiritual or metaphysical or even uh, New Age, because they're going, no, we just work with basic energies. Um, so holistic is tends to focus on lifestyle and health, and a lot of times holistic practitioners do not want to touch, or they don't want to be tainted with, oh well, no, we're not New Age. We're what's been done in the past. We're just bringing the past back for so we can be healthy and whole again. Metaphysics, and now again, these are my understandings. Others may disagree. But in general, metaphysics appears to be a spiritualized form of our mainstream religions. Examples are theosophy, which spiritualism, Christian Science, unity, New Thought churches, perennial wisdom teachings. A very good example is A Course in Miracles, and channeling of ETs such as Syrians, Pleiadians, etc. Excuse me. Oh, I apologize. Spirituality, it has basically two different types of meanings. I think I've mentioned elsewhere that to me, one of the main ideas of spirituality is, we in the West have certain religions we've grown up with. We're seeking something more. We go to Tibet, or we go to India, or we go to Japan or Africa. We learn the spiritual traditions they have. We work with the teachers and find a way to transmute or shift what they do and bring it back to us in the West. That is one of the ways I define spirituality. Spirituality is also, and forgive me, but uh, technically I'm an asthmatic, and the doctor said I shouldn't be outside and shouldn't deal with animals, and I live with a cat, and I like being outside, so I guess I pay the price. Another way of seeing spirituality, though, is living more spiritually. And it's sort of the snake eating its tail type mentality, but um, it can be influenced by quantum physics, the visionary quantum physics. Dr. Fred Alan Wolf is a prime example. He calls himself Dr. Quantum. He started out mainstream physicist. Next thing you know, he's in France, if I remember correct, on sabbatical doing some research, and he runs into French Kabbalists, and he discovers the overlap between the mystical, magical world and physics, and it changes his life so much that he goes out and he's now studying all over the world. He studies the shamanic traditions, everything. Again, A Course in Miracles can be found here. Ted Andrews is a very good example. Carolyn Miss is very good. Dr. Deepak Chopra is an excellent example. Lynn Andrews, Carlos Castanedos, they are examples of, quote, spirituality. Again, you've got channeling, and George Norrie's Coast to Coast AM radio show overnight's a good example of spiritual expression. And spirituality it's almost like a catch-all, because a lot of times, to legally protect myself, I will say that I'm practicing spirituality, because spirituality is closer to religion in legal protections than something like magic might be. And then you move into the non-religious forms, which is getting nearer magic. You can be non-religious aspects of groups can be seen as magical since they focus on techniques and not the mythic or energetic archetype landscapes that we work with. Examples are Boda, builders of the Atuam, which is a ceremonial magic group which focuses on the tarot, I believe. You've got the Grey School of Wizardry. You've got Jason Miller's Sorcerer's Boot Camp. And then this is a case where theosophy can be found here because if you read any of the theosophy stuff, and I have tried tackling Isis Unveiled and some of that, and it can get pretty intense. Theosophy tends to be quasi-Buddhist. I would call it a New Age form of Buddhist, having studied traditional Buddhism. There's quite a difference, but you can see they're attempting to bring in much that's admirable from Buddhist into something else. Then you've got the religious forms, based on solidified and formalized teaching from century past. Catholics and other Christian mystics. A very good example is Hildegard of Bingen and Matthew Fox, who is her present day devotee and advocate. I mean, Matthew Fox is an amazing gentleman for having been a Catholic priest for a long time. You've got the religious Kabbalah. You've got the Kabbalah that is actually practiced within the religious communities. Then, and you've got like the Sufi mystics and the whirling dervishes, you've got Quakers, and Witch School International I would put here because they openly say, we'll teach you magic, but we're also teaching you witchcraft, the religion. Then you've got the, okay, I'm going to jump ahead because the third section, I'm going to have to do one more of these. You have got ceremonial magic, which is mostly based on Judeo-Christian grimoires, Hermeticism, the Kabbalah. Examples are the Golden Dawn, the Society of Light, which is Dion Fortune's group. I mentioned Boda. You've got Servants of the Light, which is Dolores Ashcroft Nowicki's group. Order of Astarte, which Pope Runyon, I think, helped form. You've got the OTO, which is the Order Templi Orientis, which is something Aleister Crowley was involved in. You've got wizardry and the craft, which gives you Grey School of Wizardry. I'm going to get to some more definitions in the next one. I think I'm just going to leave it at this because the next one's going to get into some more, not so much controversial, but things that people don't really pay attention to, but need to know they're out there, need to understand where they fit in the overview. So one more video is coming up.